Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
All right, welcome to another edition of Hobby Quick Hits. Today, we're getting in that national time, right? We're under 3 months, we're a little over 2 months away. I hope you're as excited as I am. And this will be my third one, for believe it or not, for as long as I've been doing this. But something I've done for the first two, and I'm doing it this year for the third time. I really haven't talked about it before, and I thought I'd share kind of my prep for the National. I do something about 3 months out. I kind of change up what I'm doing, and so I'll go over that today, and why I do it and how I do it, that sort of thing. Works for me. Maybe you'll like kind of the idea and take a page. Maybe you can't. What you're doing, you just can't do that. Or maybe you just say, hey, I don't have the willpower to do that, John. That's cool. I just can't do it. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about right after we hear from our great sponsor, Mojo Brakes.
MojoBrakeShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobreak.com.
Hi guys, it's Max from the Sports Card Shop in New Buffalo, Michigan, and this week I'm back at it again for the Sports Card Nation release calendar. And for this week, we are starting off on the 3rd. We have 2022 Pro Set Soccer, and on the 4th, we have 2022 Bowman Baseball Hobby and Jumbo. On 2021 Panini National Treasures Football, and 2021-22 Topps Bundesliga Soccer. And on the 6th, we have 2022 Panini Donruss UFC, 2021-22 Panini Court Kings Basketball, 2022 Pokeball Tin, Pokemon Arceus V-Figure Collection, 2022 Pokemon Collector Chess Tins Spring Q2, 2022 TriStar Hidden Treasures Autograph Basketball, and 2021-22 Upper Deck Series 1 Hockey Retail. Have a good rest of your podcast and have a great week. Max out.
Answer my question! The question!
I'll answer the question. You want answers?
All right, this week's question isn't even really from one person, but it's a question I've been asked, 3 or 4 times in the last week or two. Specifically, it's a question I've even got in the past. I think the new round of questions come from the Drake and the Flawless or National Treasures cases he was opening. But I get asked, what do I think of, some of the questions specifically named Drake. Others just said, what do I think of celebrities kind of boasting about their entrance or their participation in the hobby? Well, for number one, if you know anything about my stance, right, I believe the more is the merrier. The hobby is the people. It's the greatest hobby in the world, as Dr. James Beckett says, and why wouldn't you want to participate? But that being said, here's the but, and it's not a bad but. I think sometimes we overblow everyone's just going nuts about Drake and opening all that stuff. It's Steve Aoki, Logan Paul, right? We make sometimes a little bit more out about it than we should. They're transacting. Yeah, they're transacting in a much bigger way than I ever could, and that that's fine and dandy. But there's still one person. They still put their pants on one leg at a time, like we do. And if it brings positive attention to the hobby, I'm all for it. If it brings negative attention or negative connotation, then that's a different story. Whenever I see a celebrity, and I'm going to be very truthful here, folks. I'm a very transparent and honest type of guy. Whenever I see a celebrity come in, it's never too late, right? You can start collecting it anytime you want to. But I'm like, what have they entered if we didn't have sort of the boom we've had in the last 2 years? And are they going to stick around when, those boom days are over? And we can make an argument that's the case now, I guess. But when, the salad days are definitely not here anymore. And so, and I guess it really doesn't matter, and that's their business, and I agree with that too. So I don't get all that hyped up like other people do. You'll never see me, rave about it. I'm not against it. I might make a joke, sarcastic meme every once in a while, that sort of thing. But I think it is what it is, right? It's just another person in the hobby, and the more we have, the better. I sincerely believe that. And if they're bringing in, if they're going to stick around, they're bringing in people to hobby for the right reasons, then I'm all for that. So it doesn't really, I guess, to kind of close this question out, ultimately it doesn't move my meter too much. It kind of is, what it is and what it's going to be. I just doesn't get me going, doesn't, move my meter too much. And happy everybody's enjoying the hobby, whether you're Drake, Steve Aoki, Rob Go, or, Mike Ellis in Dubuque, Iowa. We're all the same part of the same hobby. And I'm glad you're here, whatever your name is, celebrity, no celebrity, as long as you're doing it for the right reasons and doing it all above board, that's the main thing. So there's your answer to those questions I get. It's time for the Hobby What's Up, where we go around the hobby world and tell you all the latest news and breaking stories from the hobby we love.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
All right, pretty decent news week this week. Topps Finest Basketball is out. It's a 60-card set offered to Montgomery 582 Club members first, and then it was offered the following day to the general public. I don't think it's a short printed item. The 62-card checklist is predominantly, actually all retired players, not a ton of star power, but there are parallels and autographs. And one of our local guys, you might remember him if you're a big basketball fan, Adano Foyle out of Colgate, is actually card number 62. Update on Nash cards in Nashville. They were robbed. It's kind of a short update. The suspect in that robbery has been apprehended. I don't have any other details. Just saw a picture of him apprehended, and no name or anything like that. But apparently the alleged burglar of Nash cards in Nashville is in custody. A trimmed, graded, authentic T206 Honus Wagner through Robert Edwards Auctions brought in $1.5 million. $1.5 million. Wawa the kind of convenience store, gas station type place. We don't have those here, at least in the New York area, at least not yet. They will be selling Topps packs, and we've seen Lids obviously start selling Topps packs. So I think the marketing, with Fanatics is to get these products right out in as many places as they can. The NFL draft is in the books and complete, and Panini is again doing their instant draft cards. So if you're interested in any of those, head over to Panini America and get your order in. They print to demand, so how many that people order, that's how many they will make. My Steelers took Kenny Pickett with the 20th pick, quarterback out of Pittsburgh, so he gets to stay in the same stadium. And, the post-Ben Roethlisberger era will begin in 2022. All right. I did a poll on Twitter, actually, giving 4 alternative sites to the National and asked people to, vote on which one they liked or wanted to see the National take place, or they can comment which ones if it wasn't one of those 4. So let me go over those results. All right, the 4 choices I gave folks were New Orleans, St. Louis, Phoenix, and Seattle. Got over almost 1,200 votes, and then a bunch more commented an alternative city. The winner was St. Louis at 30%. Finishing second was Phoenix at 25%. Finishing third was New Orleans at 23%. And finishing very close fourth was Seattle at 22%. So, 30, 25, 23, and 22 were the 4% of all the 4 cities I gave for choices. So very, very close in the voting. I myself voted for New Orleans, but a little selfishly, mostly because I've never been there and it's on my bucket list of cities to get to. Has a lot of stuff I like. I'm sort of into the paranormal, so they got some ghosts. Supposed to be one of America's most haunted cities, and I love spicy food, Cajun food, and I don't mind jazz either. So got a lot of stuff I like. So, but I don't expect one there anytime soon, if ever. A lot of the write-in votes. Some cities kind of rose to the top there. Got a lot for Nashville, Indianapolis, Minneapolis, San Diego, and Orlando were all big write-in votes. Some Dallas votes as well. A few people said they'd like to see it in Dallas, but they're actually happy with the Dallas card shows as well. So I'm going to be doing a future Hobby Quick Hits episode about this very topic, alternative national sites. And we did a segment on Hobby Hotline, and I'm going to take some of that sound from that show and do a Hobby Quick Hits, adding some of my 2 cents in that as well. All right, we'll save the 2 biggest stories of the week for last. These are the 2 of them. The first one is the 1-of-1 Wander Franco out of the flagship has been pulled. Congrats to the puller. I don't know who they are, but it was pulled out of a Walgreens retail blaster, and a lot of people are upset about it, saying that's, that kind of stuff should be in the more expensive hobby boxes. That's why we pay more for hobby. And so a lot of people, got their panties in a bunch, so to speak, and it's created sort of a debate, which side do you fall on? Should that happen like that, or should stuff like that sort of be reserved and saved for the more expensive hobby boxes? And here's my take. We did talk about this, myself, Dr. Beckett and John Keating this past week on Hobby Hotline. But I'll say the same thing I said there. I liked it. As someone that does every once in a while pick up a blaster, I know many of you do the same. Why shouldn't we have a shot to hit something, regardless of whether the boxes are $32 to a hobby box that's $200 or $150 or whatever they are. Plus, here's the thing. It is a base card parallel. And those things should be evenly distributed through all the products. They shouldn't know where they are as well. And when you get retail versus hobby, they already have their exclusive cards. Retail has their exclusive inserts. Hobby has the inserts you can only get in hobby boxes. And the retail has theirs that you can only get. And those are inserts. But the parallels, the colored cards, in this case, they happen to be the Platinum 101. They're distributed just in the general product across both sides, hobby and retail. I'm glad they do it that way, and I hope they don't change anything. And I know some people who fall on the other side of this aisle, won't like me saying that or won't agree with me saying that. But, I think it's great, right? Think about a kid. I know I go to the kids a lot, but it's true. Think about a kid. He's got, gets his allowance, and he gets that $25 Tops blaster, right? That kind of pull, whether it be a one-on-one wander or something, maybe obviously lesser than that, but something of significance, that could change a young person's life. And it's also a good promo for the retail side too. I mean, if if there was nothing in retail, and that's always sort of been, some people will tell you that, even though it's not 100% true across the board. But if that was actually the case, people wouldn't buy that stuff. It would hurt the hobby. I think someone pulling a one-on-one Wander Franco out of retail is just good for the hobby. Again, I know some disagree, but, again, we're talking about a base card parallel. We're not talking about a special insert. We're not talking about like when Panini does the downtown, super short print, one per case. Even those have been rumored to come out of retail, even though they're supposed to be hobby. So I like it. It doesn't bother me. But some people, upset about it and don't think stuff like that should happen. If you want, share with me. Let me know what side of the aisle you fall on. All right, last story of the week, but probably one of the biggest. PWCC has announced a partnership with CSG Grading to offer $20 10-day turnaround service with a caveat. It has to be listed through them for sale, for auction. So you can't take advantage of this deal and then have your cards sent home to you. That's not how this deal works. So for $20, you get 10-day turnaround and it listed on the PWCC's auction site. I'm going to be honest with you. I've been subbing with SGC for a while now. They were also a sponsor of the show. But, their turnaround right now is the fastest to me in the industry, 18 to 25 days, and not much higher than that price. And I don't have to list them on any auction site. I don't want to. So a deal like this doesn't move my meter, but for some who like PWCC and who like CSG, this might be right up their alley. One late story just in. I want to cover it. Topps has announced they will be doing Bowman University basketball. Just like the football product they just released, they're going to be doing a basketball edition to be released June 1st. Check all your favorite sites for all the specs and inserts and all that. It's a long list. I don't want to go through it right here and take up too much time. But June 1st, and No logos. They don't have a college license like Panini does. So it's going to be like what you would see in a Panini baseball product. Players, college players, but you're not going to see the Kentucky, Duke, or UCLA on a uniform. Those are going to be airbrushed out. So, if that doesn't bother you, this product may be for you, and look for it June 1st.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, on today's Hobby Quick Hits, I wanted to share what I do sort of different 3 months out, about 90 days out from when the National is going to take place. And so if you listen to any of my shows with any sort of regularity or follow me on social media, I do shows, card shows. I set up, I make sales, I make online sales throughout the year. I'm a card seller, I'm a card buyer, and I do that pretty much every day. But what I've started doing the last 3 years since I've been going to the Nationals, about 90 days from when the show is going to take place, I kind of I go dormant in a way, and here's what I mean by that. So what I start doing, or I should say stop doing, is going on selling sites. eBay, ComC, MySlabs, StarStock, Sport Lots, and stop looking for cards to buy, stop buying cards. Now, I will go on those sites, truth be told, if I make a sale off one of them where there's shipping involved, where I got to print a label, get the card, packages up, and ship it out. So I'm still selling cards. That I do 12 months a year. But I've really done my buying now. I've cut out 3 months of buying. And let me give you a disclaimer here too. I'm part of the Montgomery 582 Club. So I do, if you're a member of that club, or even if you're not, we do get exclusive wax offerings from Topps. Speaking of that, we just had the Topps Finest basketball be exclusive to Montgomery Club. So when I say I stop buying, I mean, looking for just inventory. But I'll buy those exclusives or those specific offerings. I do have some clientele that will, we kind of go in on living set cards or game within the game cards where we'll buy 50 of them and kind of split them type of thing. So that might still occur too, but I just don't do a lot of searching on eBay for anything and that sort of thing. And so I really kind of shut down my buying those 90 days, 3 months, comparatively to the other 9 months when I'm going full bore. And the reason being is I rather buy, if I'm going to buy cards, and that's what I do, as a collector, as a dealer, I buy cards. I rather, save up more money, go to the National, wherever it's located, Atlantic City this year, and buy more cards there, right? I could buy, a walk, last year, the two big cards I left the National with were the Walter Payton graded rookie and the Bird Magic graded rookie, pretty decent grades. Could have I bought those sight unseen, off of MySlabs or eBay or online from another site? Sure. But knowing, I'd rather get those cards in person at the National. Price wise, it's going to be similar, if not the same, maybe even less potentially. And like I've said on a lot of my programs and being on other shows, right? Nothing beats an in-person sale. If all the variables are the same, what it costs, the card, the grade, and I have a choice between picking it up and buying it in person or sending my money via PayPal or Venmo and getting it sent back to me, I'm going to take that in-person sale 100% of the time. Now if you tell me, hey, in person it'll cost you $1,500 and online you can get the same exact card for $900, then that's a no-brainer, right? I'm going to save $600 in that example there. So that's a different story. But with all variables being the same, I want to buy a card in person, especially a significant card. So I'll shut down a lot of my buying 3 months out from the National, save up some money. For those that are of ill repute, I'm not walking around with a lot of cash. I don't do that. I'll let others do that. But that doesn't mean I can't spend it or to be in my PayPal account. And that's the other thing. Rather than walking around with a lot of dough or cash on hand, I'll leave it in my PayPal account. That money that I don't spend in that 90 days that I have saved up, I'll put into my bank account. And you can always transfer cash from your checking to your PayPal. If someone is a seller there and they don't take PayPal, I can always get to an ATM, or, there's always a way to pay for a transaction. Believe me, as a seller, I know that too. So not carrying a lot of cash won't prevent a deal from happening. And I carry cash. I'm just not going to carry it all in that form. That's just sort of asking for trouble. So that's just one of my approaches. It works for me. The first year I did it, which was 3 years ago, it was more difficult than it is now. So I'm like 2 or 3 weeks into this year's sabbatical, if you will, 90 days of not really buying anything outside of necessity. And, I now it's like muscle memory, right? If you do something enough and you just kind of, it gets entrenched in you, it becomes second nature. And that's really what it is for me. So, about 90 days. I'm 2 weeks in. I'm not tempted. I don't open those websites unless I have to, or I'm doing research or something for the show itself. That's a different story. But not really tempted. I'm trying to think. The second year I did it, which was last year. About a month into the sabbatical, I'll call it a sabbatical. I had someone call me with a collection, not a big one. They sent some photos over. I wound up purchasing that. It was just too good of a deal to, say because of my, what I was doing, I'm going to pass this deal up. It wasn't a very expensive deal. It didn't really affect too much of the money I would have for last year's National in Chicago. So, there's outliers and stuff like that, but I don't go looking for those deals. Sometimes, I've said this on the show before, I'm Google certified. So if you type in Syracuse sports cards, I'm going to be most likely the first person that comes up. So a lot of times when people are selling cards, that's what they do. I come up, they call me, and we'll discuss what they have, if I'm interested, and whether we can make a deal happen if I am interested. So that happened last year. That was not a big buyout by any means, so it didn't really affect what I brought to the National or how I spent at the National. But I don't go looking for those deals. That one just kind of found me, and it was good enough to sort of break my own sabbatical, one-time offense there. So, right now my mindset is just getting ready for the National. I've got a bigger list this year than last year. When I say bigger list, card-wise, one of those being the Jackie Robinson 48 leaf in a lower grade. I will confess, this is, I'm using sabbatical now. I'm confessing. This is not a religious show, believe me. But that is one thing I am looking at and searching for. And I could either buy it before the National or wait to the National. And I'm looking for that card specifically more on auction houses, right? Golden, Heritage, Huggins and Scott, Leland's, Pristine, SCP. I'm looking at their auctions or their buy it nows if they have buy it now sales. I'm looking more on their sites for that specific card, because that card's just a tough card to find with the qualifiers I have on it, right? My qualifiers are, between 1 and 2 PSA or SGC. Obviously, it's a low grade, but I want the card to present fairly well. I don't want it to look like you got hit by a Mack truck and then the truck back over it again. If I can get one sort of crease free, that's not terrible and again presents well. That's what I'm looking for, and so I'm going on those auction house sites in that quest, and that is kind of this year's exception to the rule, if you will. So that works for me. May not work for you. Obviously, if you're a full-time business, I don't do this as a full-time business. I have a regular job, so it's easy for me to get away with it, let's just say. But if you're a full-time business, obviously, I'm not talking to you. But what say you? Do you do anything similar? Is this something you could do, you couldn't do? I want to hear your feedback here. Maybe you do something different. Do you do a Christmas club during the whole year? Maybe you put, $200-300 away, every month, and go there with $4,000 or $5,000 and then bring additional money. What do you do kind of to come to the national to have your budget? I'd love to hear it. I might, that might be a future show I do, where if someone can leave some voice messages and share their approach to how they save money for the big show, if you will. And so I thought I'd share my 90-day sabbatical, with the listeners out there. Let me know what you think. Can you do it? Could you? Hey, I could do it, John, but I don't want to do it because I just don't want to do it. Let me know what you think. Either way, or if you do something different, let me know. And if you want, I can share it on a future episode. So, as always, thanks for listening. We're going to a little commercial break, and I'll come back with some closing thoughts after the break. All right. Thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/SportsCardNationPodcast/. Twitter, we are at SportsCardNati1, so it's SportsCard NATI1. Instagram, at SportsCardNationPodcast, or you can email the show, hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Thank you for joining us as always. Again, on the national, what I talked about today might be something you can or can't do. Everyone's situation is different, as I talked about during that segment. Maybe it's something you just don't want to do. Hey, I don't want to do that. I don't have to do that. And that's true, too. To each their own, hobby your way, right? This just works for me to maximize my budget going into that building, to that week. And, it's something I've gotten used to doing. It's not a bad deal for me. But again, what works for me may not be for you. Maybe you listen to this episode and say, hey, next year I'm gonna give that a whirl. So I just wanted to kind of share my experiences, my approach, how I do things sometimes. And done those kind of shows before, and I've gotten a lot of feedback, like, even with that dollar envelope that I talked about on saving money. I've had a few people since that show message me and said that after hearing that show, they're doing that too, and they're saving some money that way. So there's always ways to save, little tricks and things you can do to kind of generate some funds. And hopefully I'll see you, talking about the National. Hope everyone that wants to go can go, and hope to meet. If I haven't met you before, I'd like to meet you. And if I've met you before, hope to see you again just the same. So with that being said, we're going to wrap this episode up. We'll see you another episode of Hobby Quick Hits on Monday, and we'll see you on Sports Card Nation on Friday. All right, one more quick programming note. Sorry, I promise we're turning off the lights here in a second. This Friday, Sports Card Nation, actor Dwyer Brown from Field of Dreams played Kevin Costner's dad, John Kinsella, one of the most iconic movie scenes in movie history. He's going to tell us a lot of inside stuff about that scene, about the movie, how it all went down, things you would never know unless, someone from the movie told you. So if you're a baseball fan, Field of Dreams fan, don't miss Sports Card Nation this Friday. Dwyer Brown from Field of Dreams. All right, I promise we're leaving. Thank you for listening. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.